Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and others, great most and every well. Peace and blessings to the elected nation of Israel. Shalom. And about the ball, back at it again with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai. Lord willing, lesson is edifying. All right. And I just want to touch on a quick topic, man, on the topic of adultery. Okay. And as it says in Exodus 20 and 14, it says, thou shalt not commit adultery. Okay? And what is adultery? Adultery is when a man deals with another man's wife, or when a woman deals with another man besides her husband. Okay, those cases are considered to be adultery. Okay? Adultery is not when a man deals with another woman who is single. Okay? And then she gets with him. Like if that woman is single, she doesn't have a man, and a man deals with her even though he may have a wife already, that's not adultery. Okay? That's not fornication. That's lawful. Okay? But when a woman deals with another man when she already has a man, that's adultery. Okay? And something more specific I wanted to touch on was the topic of adultery. But let's say, for instance, you got an Edomite, right? Because this sparked through the spirit when the apostles was going into it. You used to have those Edomite women on the slave plantations. They used to force the Jakes to have sex with them, And basically, if Jake didn't want to do it, they would either lie on the Jake, slander him, say that he tried to rape them, you know what I'm saying? Or, if Jake did do it, which is going off, once the slave master came back and found out, it would be all hell breaking loose on that Jake. Rightfully so, of course, But, your flesh might get simple and say, oh, it's an Edomite, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, it's still another man's wife, Now, if the slave master was dead and the woman was a widow and she was forcing Jake to lay with her, you know what I'm saying? Then that's a different story. But, the spirit hit me. I'm like, man, there's a story like that in Genesis. Because later on that day, I was listening to Genesis and I heard the story about Joseph and Pharaoh's wife. I was like, wow, man, see how the spirit works. So I'm going to get that story real quick. But let me read this. Leviticus 20 and 10. The man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, then the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Deuteronomy 5 and 18, neither shalt thou commit adultery. That's right. Okay? Proverbs 6 and 32, but whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. That's right. So I'm going to get this account with Joseph. Okay? Genesis 39 and 6. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. So Pharaoh basically gave everything into Joseph's dominion. Joseph was pretty much second in command over Egypt under Pharaoh himself. Okay? So you got to imagine everything Joseph was responsible for, so to speak. Verse 7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against the Most High? Right, what would be the sin? Adultery. Okay? And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. That's right. So you got to put this in context, Joseph was in slavery under the Egyptians, but the Egyptians saw Joseph was such a righteous man that they made him second in command under Pharaoh himself, man. So can you imagine a high-level slave, per se, even though Joseph was a great leader, and a righteous man? I'm not taking away from his reputation, but I'm just trying to put it into perspective. You have a high-level slave, right? And then you got Pharaoh, who's above Joseph, in the order of the Egyptian kingdom, okay? And then his wife is trying to lay with one of the slaves, man. You know? So it's the same thing Esau did back then in the time when they had us in slavery, even though we still are in slavery. But I'm talking about, you know, plantation slavery, so on and so forth, you know. But we are still in slavery, okay? Because what proves that is you pay taxes. You got to wake up. You know, most people have a 9 to 5, okay? And, you know, really are just working to make ends meet. We're subject to payments, man. You know what I'm saying? We're still under captivity. Employee is just another word of a servant, okay? But nonetheless, and also you got jakes in prisons who are literal slaves, man, working hard labor jobs for cents a day, man. That's modern day slavery, okay, under the 13th Amendment. But nonetheless, I digress. The point of me bringing this out is that, you know, no matter how you cut it, all right, it's adultery. You know, regardless of the fact of if you're afraid of the slave master finding out, you know, because of slander, or, you know, even if you don't do it and she's threatening you, the best thing to do is to maintain your integrity and Yahweh Shema Shai, not commit adultery, okay, and you just deal with the consequences as such, but at least you'll be right with the Lord, man. You know, we ought to obey Yahweh Shema Shai rather than men, okay? So she was trying to persuade Joseph to commit adultery with her day after day, man. She was, you know, being a harlot. She was burning for Joseph, man. It wasn't like it was just one time. She's like, oh, okay, you know. But this was something that was really on her mind. You know, she really wanted Joseph back. Okay? It says, and it came to pass, Genesis 39:10, it says, and it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. Right. Sitting at it all with another man's wife, as the scriptures say. Let me get that real quick. Ecclesiastes 9:8, turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman, and look not upon another's beauty, for many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman, and for herewith love is kindled as a fire. Sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thine arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, lest thine heart incline unto her, and so through thy desire thou fall into destruction. That's right. Okay, so sit not at all with another man's wife. Joseph didn't even want to be around her, man. Okay. It says, and it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. Right, so Joseph was like, oh, hell no. You know, she was grabbing up on his clothes, man. She wanted him bad, all right? But that was wickedness on her behalf. Okay, so in the process of Joseph fleeing from sin as from the face of a serpent, he left his garment in her hand. All right, because he basically got up out of there. And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of the house and spake unto them, saying, see, he hath brought in Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass when he heard that, I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. So she's lying on him, just like them Edomite women would do if the Jakes wouldn't sleep with them. All right. It says, and she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master had heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, after this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him in the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in prison. It says, but the Lord was with Joseph, and shewed him mercy, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. That's right, because Joseph did that which was right in the Lord's sight. Even though he suffered being in prison, okay, at least he was still in a good relationship with the Lord, man. And that's truly what matters most, you know. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. yeah, so Joseph became basically head of the command in the prison too. You know, the Lord blessed his works, man. Everything Joseph did, it prospered, man, because the Lord was with him. It says, the keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. That's right, man. Okay, so notice this is just a quick story about Joseph keeping his integrity. You know, even though Pharaoh's wife was trying to press him to do it day after day, you know, that's one thing about it. He kept his integrity every day. Because you might have the integrity to shoo her off the first day. But if you see, you know, a lot of jakes, they see that she's thirsty for it. You know, a lot of jakes would cave in, man. But Joseph, he held fast his integrity, you know, every time, man. Okay, and look, the Lord blessed him for it, you know. And at the end of the day, he got brought out of the prison once again, okay? And became back in honor with Pharaoh, you know. So, just wanted to do a little lesson on that, man. You know, even if you had them Edomite women forcing Jake to lay with them, really that's wicked, you know, and that is adultery, man, you know. Even if it is a heathen's wife, okay? Man, the Lord doesn't play about that, man. Let me get this story. Genesis 20, and starting at verse 1. And Abraham journeyed from thence toward the south country, and dwelled between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham said of Sarah his wife, she is my sister. And Abimelech king of Gerar sent and took Sarah, right? So they were asking Abraham about Sarah. He said, she's my sister, which that wasn't necessarily a lie, because Sarah was Abraham's half-sister, as it explains in this chapter. But he was Yaiquab, and he was supplanting, he was finessing, so that they wouldn't put him to death, because they, you know, he knew that Sarah was a fine woman. So he was like, man, if I, you know, basically they'll kill me and take her. So he was like, shit, for them not to kill me, you know, I'll just say she's my sister, okay? But at the end of the day, you know, it still worked out in Abraham's favor, because the Lord was with him. Verse 3, but the Most High came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me. So he said Abimelech came not near unto her, sit not at all with another man's wife. You know, even though when it's saying come near also means to, you know, to have sex, but you know, it can be twofold. All right, you know, you want to learn to keep a safe distance from around another man's woman, man. Okay, because even if you're not talking to her, just the fact that you being around, she could like your vibe. You know what I'm saying? And like it says, cast her eyes upon you, like you said about Joseph, man. So it's definitely a thing you want to be mindful of. You know, speaking to myself first and foremost, it says, verse 5, it says, said he not unto me, she is my sister? And she even herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this. So Abimelech, he was like, you know, hey, I did my diligence. They both told me that they were brother and sister. You know, I did this out of the integrity of my heart, because his intention wasn't to commit adultery. And it says, and the Most High said unto him in a dream, yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me, therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. Right, so the Lord was like, look, I'm the reason why you didn't lay with her, because I knew the intentions of your heart, and I didn't allow you to go off against me, man. And not to say that Abimelech was an Israelite, but the scripture said the Lord knoweth how to reserve or how to deliver the godly out of temptations, man. So in that moment, he was being godly. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord delivered him out of temptation. Okay? It says, now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning, and he called all his servants, and told all these things in their ears, and the men were sore afraid. And then Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, what hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin, thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? And Abraham said, because I thought, surely the fear of the Most High is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And yet indeed she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And you see, just to touch on that, you know, the Lord allowed Abraham to get away with that per se, because he wanted to keep it in the family. But now that our nation is big enough, you know, the Lord changed that. All right. And he suffered it for the time being, but in the law, it says how we're not supposed to deal with our parents' children. You know, we're not supposed to deal with our father's children, whether he have children with our mother or another woman. We're not supposed to deal with his children, because those are our siblings. Okay, and vice versa. You know, we're not supposed to deal with our mother's children, you know, because a mother could have a child, and then her husband could die, and she could remarry and then have another child with a different man. That doesn't matter. That's still your sibling through your mother's side, you know, so you're not supposed to deal with them according to the law. All right, that's Leviticus, the 18th chapter. Okay. And it came to pass, when the Most High caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, this is thy kindness, which thou shalt shew unto me. At every place whither we shall come, say of me, he is my brother. And Abimelech took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and restored him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, behold, my land is before thee, dwell where it pleaseth thee. And unto Sarah he said, behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes. And unto all that are with thee, and with all other, thus she was reproved. So Abraham prayed unto the Most High, and the Most High healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, and they bare children. For the Lord had fast closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Right, so the Lord was cursing them, man. You know, because he was dealing with another man's wife. All right, or was about to, you know. And that's the thing. He was about to deal with Abraham's wife. How much more if he would have done it? You know what I'm saying? That would have been a bad situation. Okay? That would have been a real bad situation. Okay? But, hey, that just goes to show you how serious adultery is, man. The Lord doesn't play about that. You know, so I just wanted to touch on a little story on that, man. Okay, you even had the situation with Pharaoh in Genesis as well. He saw Abraham's wife, and the Lord plagued Pharaoh in his house because he was with Sarah, you know. So that happened twice. Okay, there's at least two accounts of it, you know. So this is just something to be mindful of, man. All right, committing adultery is a serious offense in the sight of Yahweh B'Shem Shai, and rightfully so, man. You know, you wouldn't want nobody to deal with your woman, man. At least not a real man in his right mind, because you do got some weirdos out here who allow their women to be dealt with other men. But that shit's off, man. That shit's off, man. Swinger couples, you know, that's wicked, okay? You know, pimping out your wife, that's wicked, man, okay? You know, pimping out your daughter, that's wicked. You know what I'm saying? Watching your wife get down with another man and you're enjoying that shit, that's wicked, man. That's absolute wickedness, man. Okay? That's a recipe for death. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Shem, Yahweh Shai, B'Shem HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and others, great Muslim, ever well, peace and blessings to the elected nation of Israel, Shalom, and above all.